Hello guys, it is Gator Theories here, and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness has just been released. And it was certainly madness. Spoilers ahead, you have been warned. Now, I did come out of the cinema absolutely loving this film, but something was just lurking in the back of my mind, and that was this whole movie just felt a bit off. That's the only way I can really describe it. And I think I've now worked out why the reason is, and the reason has to do with the 3 Spider-Men. Let's get into it, but before we go any further, please make sure that you click that red subscribe button down below and have your notifications turned on so that you get notified every time we make any brand new Marvel videos. So, did I like this film? Yes, of course I did. But throughout the whole film, every scene just felt like a very different vibe to what I'm used to with Marvel. Now, you could say that's a good thing. Marvel doesn't want all their films to feel the same. However, lots of this just feels very forced and very out of place. What I did love was how it directly linked into WandaVision, and I loved Wanda as the Scarlet Witch villain. The characters were all great, I loved America Chavez, and Steven and Christine were perfect too. The concept of going through the multiverse was so epic as well. So, what fell off? And I think it was a mixture of things, where initially an idea was set, but they just didn't go all the way through with it. The biggest example of this is the horror aspect. When this movie was first pitched at San Diego Comic-Con, it was seen as Marvel's first ever outright horror movie. It was going head to head against movies like the Dark Knight trilogy and The Joker, tapping into how dark Marvel can truly get. Well, there is definitely horror aspects here and very dark moments. I think Strange dreamwalking into Skeleton Strange's body pretty much fits the bill, but it was only for certain scenes, and you can tell they didn't go all the way through with it. Kind of like they just kept back a bit. It's as if they went in with the intention of making this the darkest Marvel movie ever, including making it a 15 or R-rated movie, but then Disney and the heads of Marvel said halfway through the project, actually, can you bring it back a little bit please? So the whole story was designed around fitting this style, but the final product felt like a half-attempted version of it. Speaking of San Diego Comic-Con, this can really give us an insight into how much the pandemic negatively affected these films and Marvel's release schedule. Because the original plan for Phase 4 was to release Black Widow, then Falcon and the Winter Soldier as the first Disney Plus show, then The Eternals and Shang-Chi, then WandaVision, followed by directly Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and then Loki. Spider-Man No Way Home wasn't meant to come out for several months after, even after Thor Love and Thunder, as it hadn't been announced yet. And I think this here is the key reason why this film feels so off. It's because of how the multiverse has been introduced into the MCU. If we follow the original plan, we'd start with Wanda and Westview, giving the idea of alternate realities and looking at Wanda turning bad. Then Multiverse of Madness would have been a perfect sequel to that TV show and follow Wanda breaking into the multiverse in a much more convincing way. Then, around the same time, Loki would also be premiering on Disney+, and the multiverse would break out and the sacred timeline would officially be broken. All because of Wanda's anger and love for her kids. This was perfect, as these 3 projects were all meant to come out in spring of 2021 and be an outstanding introduction to the multiverse. Instead, however, we had WandaVision, then Loki. Meaning the first time the multiverse was introduced was in Loki, suggesting that it was because of Loki variants stepping off their sacred timeline, and that was enough to crack the multiverse. Now, Sylvie is pretty cool, but introducing the multiverse as the huge concept for the next era of the MCU in a Disney Plus show probably wasn't the best idea. Then we got Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, I love this film. It has so much nostalgia and fan service that you just can't fault. But putting all our biases to the side, you have to admit it is incredibly dumb. We have Doctor Strange voluntarily breaking into the multiverse for Peter, and it leads to the 3 Spider-Men crossing over. Doctor Strange would just never do that. Then we have Multiverse of Madness, where the multiverse was already an established concept because of these dumb moves Doctor Strange did in the previous films and shows. That is what fell off about this film. The initial idea was that Wanda was meant to break into the multiverse and be an extremely dark Scarlet Witch, then this would have meant characters from the Illuminati, like Captain Carter, Mr. Fantastic, and of course, Professor X, would have been a huge shock, which this time, they just didn't feel as much because we'd already seen it in No Way Home. And it would have meant that Wanda's sacrifice at the end, even though I don't think she has actually died, would have had an even bigger impact, as she would have been the reason the multiverse split in the first place, not because Doctor Strange made a very dumb decision, making her sacrifice so much more important. Then we would have gotten No Way Home, where Doctor Strange is dealing with the after effects of Wanda's mistake, and the multiverse begins to crack, leading to the 3 Spider-Men crossing over, which still would have gotten the same amount of hype because it's just the Spider-Man, if not bigger reactions than they initially did. Because we all knew the X-Men and Fantastic Four were coming into the MCU ever since Disney bought Fox. Marvel had basically confirmed it. However, with the Spider-Men, nothing was ever confirmed, and when Doctor Strange 2 would have came out originally, we might have still been dealing with a bit of the aftermath of the Sony-Disney deal, making everyone just think Spider-Man 3 was just Spider-Man helping Doctor Strange with the multiverse, making that shock of seeing Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire just even better. So, I did really like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness as a solo film, but as an implication to the rest of the MCU timeline, it really does just feel off, and it's such a shame, because I think what Marvel's original plan for the multiverse was just so much better. But anyway guys, that's the end of this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, make sure that you smash that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Guys, let me know down below in the comments, what do you think about this? Do you agree with me? Do you reckon Multiverse of Madness just felt a bit off? And do you think the reason is because originally it was meant to take place before No Way Home? And to be honest, I really wish the original schedule had just kept, even if we would have had to wait ages because of the pandemic. But guys, let me know all your thoughts down there, and as always, we've been here on Gate of Theories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.